Hello everyone. Moving with the next topic in the topic list, we have deleting elements. So it is about how we can delete elements from the existing list. There are three methods which help us to delete the elements from a list. One is the pop method, the other is the delete, DEL, and the other is the remove. We'll see each of them, how it is used and what is the difference in the way of using each of them. So the pop method works in this way. If you have a list by name T with the elements A, B and C. So if you perform or if you're using the pop method, so here for a pop method you must be passing the index of the element. So here you can use this method pop only when you know the index of the element which you must delete here. So and also using the pop method you can know which element has been deleted, or if you don't specify an index here, if instead of giving t dot pop 1, if you don't specify anything, it just deletes the last element. That is only the last element will be removed if the index is not being specified. And in the pop method we can we must be able to retrieve, or we must be able to know which element was being deleted. And the next video I will give you an explanation by executing all these examples. And the next is the delete method, we can use, we call it as an operator, basically del. So here if for the delete operator again you need to pass the index again here. So if you don't want to know which element was basically being deleted, then you can use this operator del, and just in the same way you can pass the index and it will delete that particular element. So here index 1 is being passed for this list. The index 1 is the element with the index 1 is B. So after this, if you print the list, B will be deleted and only A and C will be printed. And here the next method is the remove method. So here in the remove method, instead of giving the index, if you know which element you need to delete directly, say in a list you know that a list consists of maybe a list of ovals, and you know that it contains ovals only and you are aware of the elements, then you can easily use this method remove here. So you here we can directly pass in that value which you want to remove, and that works very fine. So it removes that value, and if you try to print it, it gives you that updated list. Also, using your delete operator, there's another one method or way of for deleting the elements, that is the slicing method, where you can pass in not just only one index, you can give the range here, like the slice you can use here, slicing of a list. So here it says starting from the first element up till 5, it means it will delete from 1 to 5 minus 1. So it starts from 1 here means B, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So till E it will delete, B, C, D, E will be deleted, and A, F will be remaining in the list if you print after applying this delete function. So if you want to delete elements from the list, you can make use of any of these three ways of deleting. And next we'll see some functions which are associated with the list. So the first one, if you consider a list here, the name of the list here is nums. So here nums is the name of the list. It has some six elements here. If you want to know what is the total number of elements in a list, then you can use the length function. The length function returns you the total number of elements. So if you're using the length function, it returns you. So in this case, if you're printing length of len of nums, it gives you as 6. And in the set of elements, if you want to find out what is the maximum like the largest of the all the elements in your list, then you can make use of the max function, and this max function definitely it will work only with the numbers. And similarly you can also use minimum. In this case it has returned 74. In this case it will return you 3. And then there's another function called sum. So this sum function, should return you the sum of all the values. And similarly, you can directly use the combination of these functions, and any appropriate usage can be done here using these functions. And till now we had looked into a list how wherein we were directly declaring or we were adding the elements. Now, in case you want to consider the input from the user, if you want to take the value or the elements of the list from the user, how can that be done? This is a program which is doing that. The same program I'll take in the next video, I execute, and we can check the output. But as of now, I'll just brief you what is happening. So nothing much here. We have considered a while loop, and till you give done as the input, you will be considering the value, that is the numbers will be taken as input. If you are giving the string done, then the input considering the input stops here. We have given a break here, and then we have converted that input to the floating point type. We have taken the total here and also a count to find out the total values which we have taken, and then an average is being calculated and printed here. So this is a way in which we can instead of declaring the list elements, we can consider taking the value from the user. And this is another way wherein first is you have taken a num list a variable, and you have declared that as an list here using the list function, meaning to say that num list is going to be a list. Using the list function, you have initialized it as to a empty list, and then again you have taken the input here using the input function from the user, and till you pass in done string, you will be taking the input values to your list, and every time you are appending. So the append function in the previous video I already told you. So append function will just keep on adding values to the list which is mentioned here before the dot. So you are adding the values which you have taken from the user to the list here, and then the same thing you have just taken the average here. So these are the two different functions here, two different programs which are taking the value from the user, but in one is making use of the inbuilt function and the other is not. So that was about a few such operations. And next about the list and the string. So now say you want to convert a string to a list or a list to a string, that can be done easily. Say you have a string called as S, and say the characters in the string are spam, spam. You can convert this to a list of characters by using this function. Directly initialize it as list of s. S is your string here you will be passing, so automatically your string s will be converted to a list. So when you print that converted values will be given in this way. So spam was one string, it is converted into a list of characters where s, p, a, m are each values here. And in the same way, there's another function wherein you have a string of such characters or words here. You can take any particular say like delimiter, and according to that you can perform the split function. So when there's a complete string which is specified here, s is equal to pining for the fort, something like that. So if you apply s dot split, so split on your string, then it will split based on the that is the empty space, or the space will be considered as the delimiter, and so pining for the forts, these will be each element of your list. Or here instead of taking a space as the delimiter here, maybe in some cases your delimiter may be different, you want to specify the delimiter, then it can be also done in this way. So here the delimiter is not a space, instead it is a hyphen here. So in such case you can consider a delimiter, and I have specified the delimiter to be hyphen, and I have told that split along this particular delimiter. So obviously it takes that splitting whenever a delimiter hyphen is formed. So in this way you can take a string and convert it into a list based on any particular delimiter, or if you are taking it based on only a space, then you can directly use only the split function without any parameter here. So if you specify a parameter, then the splitting will happen based on that particular character. And the other way, that is the join, can also happen here. So here I told you, you can convert a string to a list as well as a list to a string. So if you have a list here, there's a list by name T which has some 4 elements here. So here what we are trying to do is we are joining it and we are converting it into a string, that is that complete list into a string. So join is basically a string method. So we need to specify the delimiter. So the delimiter which we have specified here is the space, and I have given delimiter dot join of T. So this join is happening on the list T. So these all complete set of words will be converted into a string. So there are two functions which do the conversion from string to a list and from list to a string. Now following video, all these examples I will execute and I will show what the outputs are for each of them. Thank you.